So good evening, Sorors. And I have to just put in a plug. I want to say thank you to Cheryl Moses and Connie Morris, who have kept in touch with me through the years. I'm one of them that moved back home to Maryland. But they did keep in touch with me and let me know what's going on in Marietta-Roswell. Now, one thing that I need to clarify, 30 some years ago, it was only Cobb County. I mean, we didn't have all these other counties that you all have listed. So it was mainly Cobb County that was starting to get populated. And to answer that question, we really didn't know each other. It was more or less, as Sarah Burke mentioned, it was like a corporate connection. So I worked for IBM then, and then it's kind of like you talk to different ones, and then we got some people from AT&T, and then the ones who were educators, then they found other people that were in the school system. So that's how we all got connected. And the other thing I forgot to mention was 30 some years ago, it was only 3 other chapters in the Atlanta area. It was Atlanta Alumni, East Point College Park, and Decatur. So we became the 4th chapter in the area. As Sarah Barnes already mentioned, Sarah Verdell Bellamy was the Southern Regional Director at the time, and just coincidentally, she was in the Atlanta Alumni chapter. So when we had to submit our application, she knew, more about the area. So we started off, and you heard everybody kept saying about Cobb County. So we tried to be Cobb County. She said no. So then we said northern suburban. She said no. So we kept trying to go back through several iterations with her on the application to come up with a suitable name that she was going to be satisfied with. So I'm going to pass that on now to Sarah Moses.
So, good evening, everyone. One of the things that we recognize after going back and forth for so many times about that name, it was just something about that name. And I have to pass that torch and say that our very own Sarah Burke, Arlene Burke, said, you know what? Half of us live in Marietta, the other half of us live in Roswell. So why don't we just send Sarah Bellamy Marietta-Roswell Alumni Chapter? And that's how the name came to be.
There's nothing that I would change about the chapter, nothing. In fact, I think our task as charter members was to plant the seed, water it, cultivate it, nourish it, and then watch it grow. And we've had some phenomenal presidents to lead this organization at every level, and each president in their own right has contributed to make this chapter excellent. The women in this organization, I'm just amazed at how dedicated the women are. Even though you have careers and families, I'm excited about the amount of time that you put into Delta to make sure that we are carrying out the ideals of Delta. So there's nothing that I would do differently other than to observe and marvel at the awesomeness of this chapter. And thank you so much for carrying it to the point of where you have.
Marietta-Roswell is 35 years old. Gosh, I'm not even gonna, so if I do any counting, I'm gonna try not to count to try and remember how old I am. I'm gonna cover anybody else but myself. It is great to even be with Marietta-Roswell and see the chapter and see so many of you I haven't seen for a while. Congratulations to us. Let me first of all say that. I'm listening to all the memories and I can remember Johnson Ferry Road as a paved road. And there were no, I mean, between Shallowford Road and Johnson Ferry, there were maybe 2 stores. I don't know if y'all remember that old Ogletrees. Everything else was fields. That was it. There was a Kroger's and an Exxon station. And I can remember going into Ogletrees or into that Kroger's looking for Black folks. And I just run up to people and say, you live around here? But you do that today, somebody's liable to punch you. So you really can't do that. Although our population hasn't grown as much. They were, except for IBM and AT&T, and I wasn't working at that time because I had the babies. There was nothing else out here. We really did do the business migration back in the day in terms of what we did and where we were. It was so good to find stores in the area to come up with. Before that, I tried the Atlanta chapter. I went to one meeting, but they were like every other old chapter still is. If you were new to the area or younger, you had to sit in the back and work your way up to the front. Couldn't be on a committee unless you'd been there about 10 years. I still warn chapters about that now. And I tell that story because that's the way it was then. So there really wasn't an alternative. It was great to just have the opportunity to see us all coming together as one. And starting with, I can't remember what the number was then, 30 something, I think, that we had, to a chapter of almost 1,000 seems unbelievable that we could be here. From the 3 or 4 chapters there were in Atlanta and the two collegiate chapters to 16 chapters. From the numbers we had in Atlanta, and we did a count the other day because we're trying to do a count for the national convention, to the 5,200 financial stores we just have in Metro Atlanta in those chapters is absolutely amazing. This is truly a Delta town, and so many of you have made it a Delta town with everything everybody's done in this community. From the architects we have, like Sora Horton, to the school teachers we have and the principals we have in the school, to those of us who've retired and gone on to do other things. It's just incredible to see the impact. If you sit back and look at the impact this chapter has had in this community and the impact we've had in terms of our own growth and development, it's just a wonderful thing. Thanks for the opportunity, Sora Reed and Sora Mills, to make sure that I knew when the event was, to Sora Roan for making sure it was on my calendar. Charter Day for Marietta-Roswell is always going to be special. I know exactly where I was on February 22nd in 1986, and it was with this chapter, and it was with these outstanding Delta women that are giving their memories tonight. It brings back so many memories. I don't know how you all remember all that. I don't remember all that stuff. I know I was there, but it's hard to keep those memories alive. I hope we really do take the time to write this down, talk about how we got started, and talk about the history of Marietta-Roswell and what an incredible chapter it is and what a great place to be. Thank you for the opportunity. So good to see everybody. Mwah.
thrilled to be a part of Delta Sigma Theta sorority and seeing our sorors and being a part of chartering this chapter.
Yeah, and no, we did not think it would grow to be this large. We thought at that time 50 members would be a lot, because remember that Black explosion hadn't really, taken off yet. So we were still, so 50, we thought, wow, that's going to be big, and we're going to have a lot of more committee members to help us out with stuff. So at that time, since we were, the new graduates, the babies of the group, when Angela and I lived in other parts of town at that part, and we had visited other chapters, and those chapters we didn't feel comfortable. We felt like that we would never have a voice, never be able. It will be years before we would be able to have a office in any position or any office. So wanting to join and be a part of a chapter where we could know we would finally be able to have a voice, and we kind of bridged that gap between graduates and alumni. That's what we felt that we would be able to do. So it's been a joy, to see us grow from that 21 to 965 and still growing.
So MRAC is 35 years old. What's next? We continue to rise, we continue to give back, and lift up, we continue to lead. MRAC has the resources, the skill set, the talent, and the access to carry out the vision of our charter members and the founders of our organization. We have grown from 21 members to well over 900, and as the 12th president, I sought to enhance and upgrade our infrastructure so that we can be more efficient and effective. Unexpectedly, COVID forced us to unintentionally pivot. That also led us to color outside the lines, but in a good way. We live in a time where Delta Sigma Theta is needed now more than ever. And I truly believe Marietta-Roswell is poised and ready to meet the challenge. Social justice, economic insecurity, health disparities, low educational attainment, all challenges in our own backyard. So yes, we've done great things for the past 35 years. But as we look ahead, let's think about refocusing our purpose, owning relevant, impactful program, and truly continuing to be the change that we want to see. Happy 35th anniversary, MRAC. You, my sorors, are simply the best.